Next one comes from Steve, and Steve asks, please give us a few deep sleepers that will go in the 80 to 120 range. Thanks, Chris. Well, I don't know if they're necessarily deep sleepers, but I think in that range, you certainly could. One of the guys that's towards the end of my list on my top 100 that I've been using as one of my favorite sleepers for this draft, because I think he's going to go well after where I put him on the board, is Dubuque Fighting Saints defenseman Una Väisänen. And watched him a lot this year, watched Dubuque have a great season, thought he was excellent in the playoffs, thought he was a very tough defenseman to match up against for any team that played him. Matt Vigridin, when we were at the Combine, shouted him out as one of the toughest players to play against in the USHL. He's a re-entry. He played on the Finnish under 20 team at the World Juniors this year. Not a huge offensive producer, but he did have a good season on that front in the USHL. I don't think he's going to be a major offensive producer in the NHL. But Una Väisänen, I mean, this is a guy that he just plays a simple, predictable game, and it's the kind of game that gets you a career. I think that he's a stopper. He is highly intelligent, and I think he's going to be an impactful player going forward in his career. He's not the biggest guy, but he is, about 6 foot. And I just think that he is a guy that just plays the game the right way. And then I think that's going to resonate with teams. And I think somebody will take him in the middle range of the draft. You look at some of the other guys that I think will go a bit later. Miguel Marquez, he's been high on central scouting lists. I don't think that's necessarily shared in the NHL industry. Could be a 4th rounder. I think that there's a lot of intrigue there. Kevin He, another guy who just has really great skill. I think there's some in and out compete, and that's, he wasn't on my list as a result of that. I think that he has a chance to go in that range and be really, really solid. Another guy that I have on my list, top 100, Heikki Ruohonen, who I think is going to be a mid-round pick. Plays the game hard. He's going to the Dubuque Fighting Saints next year. So we'll see him in the USHL. I think those are guys that are going to find a way to make an impact in this league. And then, find a way to potentially make it as draft picks. But I think those guys are there. You also look, there's a lot of reentries, and I think that that's really at this stage, you look for those types of players, guys that, maybe have a chance to be picked. Does this finally the year for Jake Livanavage, who was not picked 2 years out of the Chicago Steel, but had a really good season at North Dakota this year, made the World Junior Camp, had an opportunity to play on that team, didn't ultimately make it, but was very much in the mix for a considerable amount of time. Patrick Geary at Michigan State, he played alongside Artem Levshinov and Maxime Sturbak and all those guys. And so a lot of scouts were out there. He also made the World Junior Camp and was, in the mix for that. More of a defensive defenseman. Does he get an opportunity? So there's a lot of different players like that that are fascinating. One other name to keep an eye on for the draft is Austin Bernovic from the Madison Capitals in the USHL. He had a 40-goal season this year after playing at the NTDP and really kind of being under the radar. That's another guy that I think, mid rounds, late bloomer. Let's see where it goes in college for him. But he has size, he had scoring ability, tremendous season for Madison, and certainly a guy that I'd keep a close eye on.